Today, I want to talk to you about the real reason men over 60 struggle to grow muscles and how I grew muscle at the age of 64. Most men over 60 struggle to grow muscle. If you walk into a commercial gym today, what you find is people in their 20s, people in their 30s with biceps, with triceps, aesthetic bodies. But wait, where are the men and women over 60? You will struggle to find any. In fact, it will be less than 1% in any commercial gym that you find a person over 60 who is there, who is training like the younger people. Now, there is no mystery about this. It's simply because the fitness industry have already implanted in society that if you're over 60, you cannot grow muscles. Now today, right now, right here, I'm going to demystify this and explain to you how I grew muscle at the age of 64 and how you can do so too. The reason why this exists is because there are several myths about muscle growth after the age of 60. Let's go through them. Firstly, there is what we call the testosterone myth. Now, testosterone is your anabolic hormone which enables men to grow muscles. It builds you up. The challenge is, if you are over 60, sadly, that hormone begins to play against you. And it begins to reduce, go down, probably around from the age of 40, but definitely when you're at the age of 60, you begin to lose it by at least 1% a year. And when that compounds over time, you lose it dramatically. And by the time we are 60 and slightly over, most people have lost nearly 40% of their testosterone reserves. And that is critical in ensuring that you grow muscles. So when that goes down, you suddenly are not able to grow muscle, or at least apparently so. That's one of the myths. Now let me explain to you, that is a myth. Why is it a myth? The reason is, there is a lot of people who believe it's actually the lower testosterone itself that makes you not grow muscle. It's actually not. That's just half the picture. The true picture is something called mechanical tension. When you're over 60, if you put your muscles under mechanical tension, in other words, you train them very hard, but there's a way to do it if you're over 60, and we'll come to that later on. You suddenly put your muscles under mechanical tension, and what this does is it opens up a pathway for you to actually grow muscle. It does not shut it down. All it does is it limits it. It gives you a headwind which you can mitigate by actually training, doing resistance training, and therefore putting your muscles under mechanical tension. Now, so to be clear, testosterone will go down, and therefore it can affect your ability to grow muscle. But that's just a headwind. It's just a constraint. What you have to do is to definitely go ahead and do resistance training. When you do that, you naturally not only generate higher testosterone, mitigating the lowering testosterone, but you also, via the mechanical tension pathway, you begin to enable your body to still grow muscle regardless of the lowering testosterone. So you will be able to handle that first headwind of lowering testosterone. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which is also a myth, is the recovery curve. Well, one of the reasons why people over 60 do not grow muscle is because they implement protocols that are used for people who are in the 30s. If you're 30 years of age or younger, your recovery curve is totally different from a person over 60. You tend to recover very fast. It's very much like a credit card. If you are over 30, effectively, your credit card balance, or the amount allowed for you to use, is lower. But if you use it, it gets replenished. While if you're a younger person, you will have a higher balances allowed, or your overdraft in your card, or your balance in your card, and you'll be able to use a lot more quicker, and again it gets replenished. So as long as you pace yourself in terms of how you recover, if you are a person over 60, you will not be at a disadvantage compared to somebody who's over 30. You just have to make sure you do not break yourself down too much, because your recovery curve is not the same as a person in their 30s. So in effect, you do still challenge your muscles, but what you don't do is you do not break them down dramatically, because it takes you quite a while then to be able to recover compared to a younger person. So again, that recovery curve, which is one of the reasons people do not train, or if they train they get injured and therefore they are not able to go back to train and they lose their muscles if you are in your 60s, it can be dealt with by just adjusting your training protocol, pacing yourself. The other reason is something called anabolic resistance. What is anabolic resistance? This is the threshold at which muscle protein synthesis, which is your body's ability to consume protein and therefore convert it into muscle, is reached. That threshold, using the leucine pathway, which is part of the protein, is quite different for somebody over 60 compared to somebody who is in their 30s. To grow muscle using protein, you need to reach a particular ignition point, okay, or what I call the trigger point. If you are in your 30s, you require a small amount of protein to turn that on. So, for example, you might just need 20 grams a meal. If you take 3 meals a day, all you need is about 20 grams. And when you take 20 grams in each meal, if you are in your 30s, if you are on the younger side, you'll be able to turn on that muscle protein synthesis, because you reach what we call the leucine threshold. But if you are in your 60s, even if the total protein for the day is the same as somebody who is younger, in one sitting, you need double what the younger person needs. You need 40 grams of protein if the younger person required 20, for you to be able to turn on that ignition and begin the muscle protein synthesis. So you can see it's a different approach altogether. And what happens is, most of our older people, particularly those people over 60, they eat like birds. They eat a small piece of salmon or a small piece of steak and a few vegetables. They assume that is just controlling the portion. That's fine, you can control your portions, but you must trigger the threshold that requires you to turn on leucine and therefore grow your muscles. And your protein dose per meal, every meal, must reach 40 grams. Otherwise, it's wasted protein, and you will have to restart again. So this is something that is misunderstood in the industry. It's not talked about because, again, it only affects older people. It does not affect younger people, and therefore it's brushed aside. That's exactly what happens in every of the fitness protocols for older people, because it's different to younger people. It's not talked about, and therefore it's not very well understood. That's why this channel exists. That's why the EVERPRIME exists. That's why I founded this channel, to make sure I bring out education for people over 60. I am 64 right now, and I found this out nearly very late. I found this out 2 years ago, that everything I was doing between the ages of 40 to 60 for 20 years was all wasted, because I was using protocols just designed for younger people. I never worked. And I ended up having anabolic syndrome. I ended up being fat. 2 years ago, at the age of 62, I was 84 kilograms and 23% body fat. And I had diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And 18 months later, after understanding this education and implementing a regime, I totally not only cured myself, I lost total weight from 84 kilograms, mostly fat, from 84 kilograms to 71 kilograms, and my body fat content moved away from 23% to down to 16%. And my waist circumference changed from 36 inches to today 32 inches. So you can see all this can be done, and everything, the only thing I did is not, in fact, I reduced my activity. The only thing I did was I instituted the protocols that suit for people who are on the older side. It's really, sometimes it pains me to see older people trying so hard, doing everything, getting frustrated, but doing the wrong things, and therefore it's not working. For example, trying to overtrain, or worse, trying to undertrain, not stimulating their muscles at all. But that's the subject of another conversation. Or eating small amount of protein, thinking, that's what they need to do because that's what they see younger people do. And it's all wrong. It will not work for you. You are of a different biology. You could almost assume you're a different species if you are over 60. So I will go to the next item, which is the other myth. The other myth is is sarcopenia. People do say, well, there is sarcopenia, and that is true. Sarcopenia is real. It affects mostly older people. It gets worse as you get older. Most of these things, they are a continuum. It's not a turn on and turn off. It gets worse progressively. So let's say if you are over 60, you probably be at the time when sarcopenia is the worst time, wherein you could be losing muscle at the rate of 1% a year. Now, if you imagine that, if you're losing muscle at the rate of 1% a year, when you're in the younger side, it's probably 0.02 at all, if anything, if you are inactive. Now that means for people who are over 60, having started the loss in their 40s, you probably have lost about 40% of your muscle through sarcopenia. Now there are other videos in this channel that talks about sarcopenia. I'll put a link at the end of this video for you to watch those. But for the here and now, think about it. I've talked about everything that has to do with fighting the myths. But suddenly there is this thing called sarcopenia, which means even if you did everything, even if you mitigated the testosterone myth, even if you mitigated the recovery, even if you mitigated the anabolic syndrome, which allows you to beat the muscle protein synthesis threshold, you still are faced with this overarching problem, which is more intense when you are older, called sarcopenia. The challenge is not the fact that you do not face it. The challenge is people not knowing that you can still mitigate it. And the way to mitigate sarcopenia is not something new. It's doing more of the same. So in effect, you address the issue of testosterone by putting your body under mechanical tension, but you do that in a way that allows older people to recover. The recovery curve of an older person is much longer. So if you put yourself under mechanical tension, you need longer time to recover. So instead of training every day, try and train 2 or 3 times. I mean in terms of intensive training. In this channel, I talk about morning priming. That is required to just get your body ignited on the morning, every morning. I talk about the protocol, which I'll come to at the end of towards the end of the video. However, that's just to make sure your body is stimulated, is active every morning. But when you are doing proper training, I go twice a week to a gym. I allow myself to rest. So folks, if you are over 60 and you are concerned about losing muscle, or if you are already losing muscle, I'm here to let you know that there is hope. And it's not a very difficult thing to do. It's not even a complicated thing to do. It's just a change in the way we approach it. To summarize, all the headwinds we've talked about, the fact that you may have lower testosterone, the fact that you may have low recovery or slower recovery, or a longer recovery curve, the fact that you may have problems with your anabolics, basically your anabolic resistance, which means you're not able to process protein very quickly, and the fact that you may have sarcopenia, these are real. I'm not going to sugarcoat them, but they are manageable. And the interesting thing is, they are just a constraint. If you work within the constraint, you can actually grow muscle. In some cases, in some scenarios, I've said this in other videos in this channel, it's much more easier for somebody who is over 60 to grow muscle. Why do I say that after going through all these headwinds? Well, the simple thing is, if you manage the constraints, what that gives you is the arena within which you play to grow your muscles. It gives you the playground. Now, the rest of it becomes easier because as an older person, the likelihood is you have got a lot more time, you got a lot more resources because hopefully either you're retired or you're financially self-sufficient. And you also don't have all the responsibilities of a younger person or a middle-aged person. Your family have grown up, your children have grown up, and you have the time. And if you do understand this and you do implement it the right way, which is what this channel is about, you will not only be able to operate within the constraints, but you'll be able to grow muscle. This is what exactly I've done. Now let me take you very quickly through the simple protocols I advocate in the EVERPRIME, which is this channel. The first thing is you must do daily stimulation of your body. You must wake your muscles up every day. That does not mean overtraining, which I've already warned about. So here is the daily protocol. Step 1, you wake up in the morning, you hydrolyze and mineralize. Well, what does that mean? When you wake up in the morning, you get a glass of water of any size that you feel comfortable with, you drink it. And then that's your hydrolyzation. You're giving your body water because after 7-8 hours of sleep, you will get dehydrated if you don't know it. The second thing, the subset of that is you mineralize. What you do then there is you take some minerals. Now, some of you may be on medication, some of you may have to take some vitamins to supplement your system. Do that. take that again with another glass of water. So that's your hydrolyzation and your mineralization. That's your first step. That takes 2-3 minutes. The next thing you do is you do body weight exercise. Now, the reason why I advocate body weight exercise is because it's low friction, it's a low bar, it's very easy to do. What I do is, in that same spot or in the next room, I immediately go to the floor and I do one of any of these three things. I either do 50 to 100 push-ups, 50 to 100 sit-ups, or a plank for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, that is my own protocol, but you could start. I started at 5 push-ups. Some people can start at 2 push-ups. It does not matter where you start, but progressively you will grow this and you really be able to stimulate your body. So that's your second thing. You do a body weight exercise. That again should not take more than 5 minutes. Then the next thing you do is you do what I call resistance training, but it's really very simple. It's not the one that you do in the gym. It's not a protocol for the younger people. But in the house, in my house, I've got adjustable dumbbells, which means I can increase the weight. And all I do is either any of these compound exercises, either I do squats, or I do overhead, or I do bicep curls. I do something that stimulates my body, but this time not with body weight exercise, using weights, because that allows the mechanical tension, which I've already talked about. That layers on top of the body weight exercise. The body weight exercise does something quite different, slightly different to what the weight training does. So that's my third thing. The final thing is I jump on my stationary bike and full tilt, man. I do 5 to 10 minutes intensive pedaling until my heart rate goes up. And that again is something that I don't say you do marathons, I don't say you do quick CrossFit, but just do that on a daily basis. That combination of things, hydrolyzation, mineralization, body weight exercise, strength training, full body, and then that high level HIIT cardio on your exercise bike, immediately lights up your body, it tunes your body. Even if you did nothing that day, even if you did nothing for the week, your body is kept in a tip-top condition. But what I advocate apart from that then is you do 1 or 2 exercises in the gym or something else that you do. If you enjoy football, if you enjoy golf, whatever else you enjoy, do those 2 things outside your daily exercise. What that does is it layers on top of that daily exercise or that daily routine, and it will keep you in tip-top condition. That's all I've done. I go to the gym twice a week, but that's all I do, and I go in there and use the machines, something I cannot have in my house. But I've got that minimalist gym at home, which I use daily, and it's a very simple protocol. In fact, if you go down in the description of this video, there is this protocol I've talked about, that morning exercise, and do it for 30 days or 60 days. You'll be surprised. Even if you did not do any intensive gym designed for younger people, you will see how your body will transform. If you go down to the bottom of this video, download the PDF and complete it and test it for 30 days and let me know how you get on. In summary, we have got constraints as older people. We have got headwinds, but they are just that. They are headwinds, they are constraints. If you learn how to operate within them and you institute training protocols for older people as opposed to younger people, you have got no limits. There is no reason why after 60, there is no magical reason why after 60, apart from these constraints, which I've said you can mitigate and you can operate within, that makes you not grow muscle as somebody who is in their 30. I've proven it. You can prove it. Now let's go.